You know, proud of our team, the way we competed in the game. Like I said, I like this team. We're not perfect. We got a lot of room to improve in a lot of areas, but I like the demeanor. I like their competitiveness. I like their physicality. And we're learning to play the next play and find inches and not let past plays bother us. If it's bad and if it's good, we're learning to build on those, and we're getting better as a football team. We got a long way to go in what we're doing. But in the game Saturday, I thought, it starts with defensively. I thought we did a tremendous job of containing a big-time quarterback, an excellent quarterback who makes throws, who scrambles, who's hard to get on the ground, who beats you with his legs, beats you with his arm, and has a lot of experience. We were able to play well against him. Sanders, the back, we were able to get him on the ground, and we tackled well in that game and we got sacks with the integrity of not letting guys out of the pocket, which is really hard to do at times. Sometimes you get, distorted in your rush lanes, and that's hard to do and get guys on the ground, and we did a good job of that in what we did. Thought we played to run very well, but also thought we covered well. And we did a good job downfield staying disciplined. The times KJ did get out, that we didn't leave our guys, and that's where they've created a lot of big plays in the past. And the discipline part of how we're playing is getting better and better in what we're doing. And then they did a great job in the red zone early in the game when Arkansas did move the ball the first couple drives, that we were able to stand up in the red zone and not give up touchdowns, which I thought was very critical. I thought offensively we come out very, very efficient, very hot. It was great to give up because they had like a 8-minute drive, the first drive. When you sit over there on the sidelines for 8 minutes, it's hard. You don't realize, man, even though you don't give up points on, guy give up 3 or none, you say, come out, offense, come out there and play. When you sit there for 8 minutes, it's hard to come out there and be hot when guys control the ball. And we did that. We were able to come right back. And we finished the drive off with a great third down conversion and hit a touchdown. And we were able to get the lead back. I thought we had the ball 4 times the first half, scored 3, and we had a missed field goal where we hit the upright. And then come out, unfortunately, we had the turnover, then come right back after that. I was very proud. We were able to get a touchdown, and we got to fix that. Some things we can get cleaned up, a couple drops in there and a couple throws we can make in a block or two, and we can get some touchdowns. But we were able to get points back, so we responded back very well. I thought our special teams and the fact of a return game, we almost gave up 1 kickoff return. We had a missed cue over there on one of the gaps, and it almost got out, and we were lucky. But then we, of course, the punt returns by Nias were huge in the game. That kind of helped, got us up 3 scores in the fourth quarter, and then he had another one that set us up. And his presence and command there were excellent in the game. Unfortunately, we missed a couple field goals, which they were long ones, 47 and 48. They weren't like they were short. One hit the upright and the other. And Randy's had a great year. He'll continue to do that, get those back. But we were able to run the football. We got more physical. Le'Veon come on, ran well. Mari did. Ruben, when he got in the game, did a really nice job. We like 3 backs. Le'Veon got hot there and was strong and running that thing, did a good job. Our tight ends caught the ball. It was great to see Evan. Even though he got nicked up, he came back in that game, made plays. It was really good to see him come back. Good to see 3 back on the field. Noah Thomas, getting him back is huge for us in our development. Max did a great job again. I know he had a couple little plays. He had a fumble and had 2 turnovers, but at the same time, he managed the game well, did a great job. Then I thought the group that we're not talking about, the integrity of our pocket, our offensive line did a great job of protecting us. We had great protection, picked up blitzes, got hats on hats, and they got some guys that can rush the passer. And we did a really good job of giving them a really good pocket, probably 95% of the time, and got the ball out, and we're able to run the ball at the end. We're physical. In what we tried to do. The offensive line, I'm really pleased with their product. We still got ways to go, but I'm really pleased with their product, along with our tight ends and the blocking we had there. Again, Anais and those guys made some plays, and it was good to get a good balanced win. And that game's always tough up there, and we got to get a lot better. And we got to play Alabama this week. Alabama's a very good football team. Defensively, they're outstanding right now. I think when you start up front, Dallas Turner can rush like 41 Braswell. He can bring it on the edge. You got a pick 6 last week off a deflection, playing the screen. He did a great job of playing that screen, and the ball got deflected. He made it and then broke a tackle and scored. The inside D tackles are physical and strong like always. It's just like the same. Backers can run. They're big, they're physical, they're long. Got a lot of experience. Again, Marshall has a lot of experience. Campbell, with his first start, had 14 tackles or 11 tackles, something like that. They had an astounding number of tackles, and that's with Lawson being out, who was playing outstanding football for him too, 32. So backers are really good. Secondary is really good. Of experience. Started Malachi Moore at nickel. He never comes off the field. He's always out there playing, makes all the calls, checks. this guy's been around. Seems like one of those guys like Anais has been around forever and ever, and he's played the whole time he's here. He's a very productive player and very good player. 2 corners are outstanding. Terry and Arnold, physical, raw, athletic, big. Kool-Aid, again, athletic, can make plays on the ball, both play it, can cover man-to-man, can play zone, can tackle. Caleb Downs, the young safety, is outstanding. Plays the ball. One of the rare guys that can play it. Can play third level and second level. Tackles, man, really athletic at tackle, but can play the ball skills, picks across sideline to sideline. And Key is a great experienced guy for them to come in and mix in. So, I mean, they've got depth in those different positions, too. So, I mean, really good defensive football team. And you see it on the numbers and what they're doing. Offensively, big and physical starts up front. 2 tackles are athletic. Let's say Caden Proctor, the young freshman, is really a good player. Is coming on. Latham, we've known for a while, is as good as anybody in the country probably. The inside, McLaughlin, the center, and Dalcourt and Booker, those guys are all highly top guys in the country. They're massive. They're big. You watch them against Mississippi State last week, man, and they moved that defensive line. I mean, they ran the football, did against Ole Miss. Backs, McClellan's excellent back. He and Roy Dale are both, man, they're big, physical. They share carries and they rotate a lot, and like our guys, and can bring it downhill. Tight end does a great job in what they're doing. 81, I mean, Dippery, I believe that's how you say that, is really athletic and plays. And then Ozitz outs. I mean, how he's physical, but then Niblack's averaging almost 20 yards a catch and what they're doing. And their receivers, like you say, the catches 10, 12, 9 catches, but if you look at the yards, they're all averaging 20, 22 yards a catch. That's telling you they're throwing the ball down the field. They can run. Bond and Burton, Law and all those guys, Brooks, Jalen Hale, the young freshman, had one. I mean, the tight ends are getting it down the field. So, and then you look at Milroe. I mean, he can throw it. His arm is strong as heck. I mean, he had 2 runs last week. One, they had a RPO, and he looked to throw it, didn't hit, and just scrambled. I mean, it's 65, 70 yards later, it's in the end zone. He is He's as good as athletes on their team, and there's some phenomenal guys on that team. He beats you. He's different. He's got power and twitch, but, man, he can hit it. Another one on the goal line right before half was big. They had the guys covered. He stepped up, made 2 guys miss, jumped to the right, and jumped to the left, made a 3rd guy miss, and his strength got him in the end zone. I mean, very good player there. Kicker, outstanding range, accuracy. Punter, same way. Return game, Kool-Aid's back there. Him and seven of those guys in the return game. So, they're a complete football team. They're a very good football team. We're going to have to play better than we're playing. We have to, as far as improving our mistakes, and not that we have to jump up. We got to get better each and every week. That's our goal. We have to improve, and we have a good football team. We need to worry about us and prepare, and look at what they do and be able to prepare against what they're going to be able to bring in here, which is going to be a very big, strong, physical football team and has skill. And like always, Coach Saban's a great coach. They do a great job with the staff, and it's about we have to go in and prepare well and get ready to play a great game and play another SEC. And I say they're double whammy games because it's an SEC game and it's an SEC West game. So, I mean, it counts double. And, this is the next game, so it's the most important game we have. Question?
Second row on the right. David, you start us off.
Jimbo, you talked a little bit about Jalen Milroe, but he's different running quarterback than what you saw with KJ and then Peyton. Can you talk a little bit about Peyton Thorne, how the difference?
Well, I mean, he's as fast as anybody on their team. I mean, when this guy hits grass, I mean, a lot of those quarterbacks you can run down or there'll be big chunks of yards. You know what I'm saying? This guy puts balls in the end zone. I mean, he's like your tailback or your best receiver hitting grass and running away from you. And he's strong and he's twitchy and, and he doesn't mind doing it. He doesn't mind tucking it and going. But he also has a very strong arm. He does a great job on downfield throws. They're averaging, like I say, a lot of their passing game, and they're hitting a lot of big chunks in their passing game. So it makes it hard because it pushes your defender so deep, creates that separation and the levels of play. When you get a guy that athletic and he gets space, he can make you miss. So tackling, leverage, all those things, rushing in lanes and being disciplined in our lanes is going to be very critical.
And also Le'Veon Moss, a couple of really big games. You talk about his growth.
Love what he's doing. He's getting healthy. Got twitch, got power, explosion, consistency, catches the ball. And it's just fun to watch him emerge. He's working hard, and it's great to see him. And he brings some things to us that, all 3 of those backs are very unique in how they run. Amari's a great runner, been very productive. Ruben's extremely productive. But, Le'Veon had the hot hand, and so we kept giving it to him. And he was running, breaking tackles in those A-gaps and then being explosive and bouncing things out. So it was fun to see. And caught some balls out of the backfield. And also picked up blitzes. I mean, he's a strong guy on blitz protection also.
Second row, Olin.
Hey, Jimbo, you made it very clear in the past that you want your guys to approach every game like they're nameless, faceless opponents. Mm-hmm. But isn't there a certain human nature that would look at playing Alabama and think of it as
not if you understand what success is about and understand what winning and how you have to prepare. I mean, if you can get distracted by that and listen to the clutter and listen to all that stuff, you can. But what you got to focus on when you learn that you have to control yourself. There's nothing we can do about Alabama. Is Alabama, and they're a great team. What we have to do is get prepared to play Alabama and whoever you're playing, because each game is a big game. I know that sounds cliche, and it does because the public always says these things, and I get it in the media. I get where you're saying that, but as a player, as a coach, you can't do that. I mean, it's that simple, and I don't mean that any disrespect to them, but you got to control what you can control, and it's the next game and how you prepare, and you prepare for them like you would anybody else.
You mentioned, even though they don't have a lot of catches necessarily, that the yards per catch, and how much of a is that a concern for your secondary, and are you concerned about the players
no
in
doubt,
secondary?
because listen, they're so physical in the run game. You got to commit guys to the run. You got to tackle well. You got to plug. And the play action game and what Milroe does on nakeds, boots, or the hard play action game, getting that the separation between second level and third level and those big holes. And then Bond and Burt and those guys, when they catch the ball, man, they run away from you. Even not the tight ends run away from you. You know what I'm saying? They have great speed. So you're hitting those chunk plays, and then they're turning into explosive big plays on down the field. And that's a very hard thing to defend.
Down front, Cole, and then we'll go to the back middle.
Jimbo, you have film on Jalen just because of the season, but knowing the experience of playing him last year, does it give you a starting point of where he's improved from last season to this year?
I just think the overall comfort of, I mean, you see him checking down, and his, like I say, sometime when you're a young guy and you're really athletic, when you commit to run, and he hurt us last year with some huge runs in that game. I mean, he really hurt us with his legs. And I mean, guys, when you always see them when they're young, they'll take off, and man, that ball will tuck, and then they're looking at themselves like a running back. Where I see him doing things now, where he's doing a really good job. He's breaking the pocket, but that ball isn't being tucked. It's still in a throwing position with the eyes up as he's attacking the line of scrimmage and still distributing balls on down the field in big plays once he gets out of the pocket, once the secondary commits to him. So I think it tells you the game is slowing down a little bit, and he's more relaxed. He knows he has to escape, but at the same time, he knows there's still more on the play that he can have. He doesn't always have to run. And then all of a sudden, he'll take off and run. I mean, I see those things. His accuracy's getting better. The ball's getting out quicker. And you just see a guy that's more comfortable playing.
And then you kind of mentioned how it's a faceless opponent. You don't worry about it being Alabama. But throughout the last 2 weeks in conference play, preparing for the games, have you noticed?
Well, you worry about being
players
Alabama. You know who they are. But, I mean, I don't mean any disrespect to them. But, I mean, at the same time, that's your next opponent. You got to get ready to play it.
But have you noticed the composure in practice the last 2 weeks? Really, just
Yeah,
being
I mean,
faceless
our guys are learning to understand that. All you can control is yourself and how you prepare and how you think and the self-talk you tell yourself and what you see on film and how you prepare and the intensity and focus you come to practice with. And, because you can go through as I say, go through the motions. Sometimes you're not there. You got to be there in practice. You got to be vested that, like, the old Michael Jordan say that every play for him in practice was for the NBA title. That's why he could do what he did at the end of games. You got to buy into that and that mentality that how important it is. And then, of course, it's Alabama, who's a very, very good football team.
Coach back behind the lights, Tyler, right there in the middle.
Jimbo, the past couple of years have been really close with the Alabama game. What is it like as a coach, game planning for and then coaching against Nick Saban? Oh,
very hard because they're sound and listen. You can see things on film. You'll get in a game plan time and say, that formation we can get this, and there's things there you feel very comfortable about. The thing about them, when you look about them, whether it's offensive, they give you nothing. They don't give you play. I mean, they're that front. Well, all right, where do we get the advantage? We're going to have to, as I say, you hear me say, when you have a good team, when both sides do it right and guys beat guys with great technique, great play, because they're all lined up in the right place. And a lot of games and a lot of plays are made because the other team makes a mistake. There's a hole, a misalignment, a misread. That's what majority of your big plays in ball comes from. You know what I'm saying? With Alabama, you don't see that. Guys are always in the right place, the right time, with the right leverage, in the right situation in what they're doing. And so you have to earn, and you got to do things right yourself. And if you are not lined up in the right things and doing the right things with the right calls, whether it's protection or how you're fitting runs on defense, that they're going to exploit you. They make you, because of how well they're coached, to be well coached and play well yourself. Don't give things away, because as soon as you do, they capitalize on them.
And then going into a game this like this and this important, you're saying 2-0 in the SEC West, both teams. How big is confidence level of the team going into a game like this?
Well, I think you always want to be confident. Hopefully, we're very confident. We've won a 3-game. We're 1-1 right now. We've won 3 in a row, and we've won 2 SEC games. One on the road, one here that were very tough. And I think anytime you have success and you go through those things, you get confidence that because I know I can fight through that. I know I can fight through adversity. I know I can play against these types of people. And hopefully it's very good. And it seems to be good. Our players believe in themselves and what they're doing and what we're doing. And hopefully we'll carry it in practice and into the game.
Down front, Brent, and then we'll go to the back, Chip.
Going back to the Demetrius Crownover recruitment.
Mm-hmm.
Ernest has obviously helped y'all out a lot too. How much of that kind of goes together, and how much does that help to have Ernest here when you're recruiting?
Well,
Demetrius?
anytime you got family, put it this way, if you had two kids and they could both go to the same place and get a great education and be at a high quality, and have a future, it'd be easier. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you something. The Crownover family is a phenomenal family. I'm gonna say that right now. They are tremendous. They're tremendous kids, and you can tell because they're raised very well. Their parents are great, and both those guys are talented. And you got two guys there who don't complain. Ernest could be, he's played some and not some, but his role is growing more and more as it's been here, and he's got, 2 big touchdowns for us in huge games. He comes in those situations, blocks, and just high call, and on special teams, high character young man. And Demetrius, who is a guy who, I knew would be a little bit of development. He come as a tight end, but I really felt he could be an offensive tackle. I thought his size and his growth, and I keep saying this, guys, this guy is athleticism and length and power, and he's growing into himself, and the patience to do it. And to accept the roles, this guy's going to be one heck of a football player before he leaves Texas A&M. And I truly believe he's going to play on Sundays for a long time. I really do. I mean, he has evolved, he's developed, and he's like the old school guy. Listen to coaches. He believes in what you tell him, how he tells him. And I don't mean that they don't, but I mean having patience. You know what I mean? And patience is a virtue. And letting yourself develop. We all kids want to hurry up and be NFL players, which is great, but be one when you're ready. You know what I'm saying? The object isn't to get there, it's to stay there. And you got enough. You're grown enough, you're mature enough, and you got enough tools in your toolbox to stay there. You know what I'm saying? And development, and that's what I've been very proud of him. And he's been one heck of a teammate, and he's playing really, really good football right now.
Another guy who seems like he was raised right, Max Wright, going back to, he starts here as a defensive lineman, is willing to switch over. If you could just speak to what he's meant.
You have those conversations. I don't ever make guys switch. But I see, been in it a long time and have conversations with them where I see that their value could be greater and their future could be greater. And then the guys have to trust and believe in you. And you try to give them past references of guys that have had that. And I've been fortunate enough to have some guys listen in the past at different schools that are, became first-round draft picks. You know what I mean? And these guys all were willing to do that. And also says of their character and trust in what we're doing here. But then their ability to go learn a new position. It's not like it's, all right, you got the ability to do it, but it's a whole different thought process. It's a whole different mentality. It's a whole different skill set. You know what I'm saying? And so for them to go do it and be as productive as they are on both of those guys, it's been awesome. And Max has been tremendous for us as a leader, as a player, everything.
Coach, we'll go back in front of TV row, Chip, and then Travis.
Jimbo, it appears from the outside that you guys, the last 3 weeks, have sent more players in the backfield to get the quarterback. Mm-hmm. Has that been a concerted effort? Have you changed
you're
a little
always
bit?
looking to have pressures. It wasn't a different philosophy, but sometimes by game plan or what guys can do or where you're going, in good planning and scheming and trying to create those matchups. Yes, I mean, you're always trying to create. I'm a guy, I'm going to ask the defense coordinator, how are you affecting the quarterback? That's the number one thing you got to do. You got to stop the run, you play that, but on defense, how are you affecting the quarterback? I mean, that can be pressure, that can be twist and rush, that can also be all of a sudden you're dropping 8. You're only rushing 3 and giving him a different look and making him hold the ball. Or you're staying in cover 2, and on the snap of the ball, you're rolling 3. You're rolling cloud. You're rolling. I mean, there's a lot of ways to make the guy hold the football and get there. And then you got to evaluate, 2, what is our front compared to their line, and where can we create the mismatches in the one-on-ones? And can we get home with – if you can get home with 4, if you can get home with 3, you're – guys, I know that sounds crazy. You want to pressure. If you can get home with 3 and protect yourself, that's great. If you can get home with 4, it's great, but then sometimes you got to do it. But I think the mix and the continuity that we're mixing it with – I think is very good, but it is a concerted effort because I'm always going to push coordinators to do that because I know on our side that makes you have to adjust, adapt, and do things on your own, on offense.
Have you spoken with Max about running and how he runs and getting down without taking away that competitive spirit?
Oh, yeah, we always do. Smart.
He's taken a couple of good shots.
Well, that's football. Touchdown, first down, get down. Touchdown, first down, get down. You got to get a touchdown, you got to go through it. You got to get a big first down, you got to go through it. Otherwise, you're going to get down. And then everybody starts to slide. I think, and I believe this, guys are less vulnerable when they go forward with their shoulders forward. I don't believe it. The slide, for one, they don't pull off. And then guys then the referee say, oh, they were trying to. But you're exposed and your head's exposed. I believe, and I always believed this when I played. I never slid. I always went head first. And now you can dive in spots. You can dive down and protect yourself and protect the ball. I believe in that wholeheartly, you know what I mean, in what you're doing. So, but he's got to be smart, and it's going to be tough. But hopefully, we got to stay healthy. But we talk about it when to be smart, and then there's certain times you can't. You got to be physical.
Right, Travis, and then we'll go to the back.
I know Evan Stewart got a little banged up. What's the status for this
But he
weekend?
came back, he came back in the game, got plays, and should be good. I mean, should be good to go.
And then a little out of left field, I know a couple years ago A&M was able to uncover one of Bear Bryant's old contracts, and it was $15,000 and 1% of the gate. As a football historian, when you see gate as a part of a contract, what does that make you?
Well, it tells you where your times were. You weren't selling out. You were trying to draw. I mean, that was the whole part of, you're coming there, and part of your deal was to promote, commercialize, try to get people to come to games. You know what I'm saying? And where you're at, and the revenue that is almost like you're going to make revenues based off revenue you bring in. Just like you do in business, just like you do in advertising, just like you do in all those things. It's amazing how the game's tainted, and that's when there was no TV. TV got in. We cut those plays down and saved them, but we got 19 more commercials. I joke about it, but I mean it's just amazing how TV and all that's changed, and those are neat to me to hear. And I can remember when Coach Bowden went to Florida State in 1976. He made $37,500, and there was a bunch of faculty protested he made too much money. It was way too much money to give to a football coach. And look what it turned out to be for Tallahassee and Florida State. I mean, we made $37,500. That was 1976. Coach Bryant's would have been, what, 56?
54.
50. I mean, well, I was saying last year, 54,
Yeah.
15,000. So it went up 22,500.
Coach, we'll go back to the lights on the right, Ben.
Amazing.
Coach, I saw you were you were taking pictures, or some kids were posting pictures they took of you when they were camping out. Just what's it like to see not only the support from the students, but how do you kind of best channel it for the players who are seeing that excitement?
Well, I mean,
and
I did
how
the
you go
support
forward?
here is second to none, and our 12th man, the student body, is unbelievable. I mean, what they do, and they're out there. That's the earliest I can ever remember them out there camping out for tickets. And we know Mark and I noticed them when we were walking. I mean, we do our administrative walk at noon, and I get all my business. We do about 35 minutes of working, about 15 minutes of finishing up the walk and what we do every day, but we get something done. But I noticed how they were camping out there, and we've always sent food, and we were finished up last night. We were finishing at a time that was a break, and they had a little more things to do, but I'd already went over part of that, so I thought it'd be good to go out there and just thank them, and I appreciate how much support they got and what they do and how they support us at games. This group is unbelievable, our student body.
And then kind of along those lines, you touched on it earlier as well, but with that level of excitement, that kind of atmosphere, I know you talked about, McKinley talked about it too, you guys don't change, the opponent does in those environments in terms of handling that big moment. But how do you, I guess, try to instill that? It seems kind of counterintuitive, right?
Well, it is, but like I say, it's amazing how a guy will, when you're really locked in. I know this sounds crazy. You hear the noise, but when you're focused and into things, sometimes you can't. I mean, I know that sounds crazy. You hear guys play all the time. You feed off of it and you go off of it when it's time. But there's a focus ability as an athlete that you have to. You block that out. But having them behind you, and then when you're on the sidelines and things go, and after, I'm talking about plays, and in between plays you hear it and do it, and it's this atmosphere here. And I've said there's not a better place to watch a football game or play a football game or be a home team right here in Kyle Field. It's in my opinion. I've been in all of them just about.
Third row on the left, Carter.
Jimbo, over the last couple games with the pass rush, how much have you seen them help the secondary?
Oh, it's all hand in hand. I've seen both. I think we're covering better, which is allowing them to get home, and we're getting the ball out quicker, which is allowing guys to sit on. You don't have to play as well, you don't have to cover as well, and get it. And we still had some because last week we gave up a couple 3rd and 10s too. Now we had a couple 3rd and longs we got to get ironed out too. We weren't perfect, but at the same time, it all goes hand in hand, man. I mean. I remember a story of a guy who played in college. He talked about letting the ball come out, and he was an offensive lineman. He was a heck of an offensive lineman, played in the NFL a long time. He was blocking for Bo Jackson. He blocked for Bo Jackson. He said he can remember, man, he'd hit them guys, get a good shot, and boom, boom, Bo be flying down the field. Well, he was still playing when Bo left. Had another guy, Brent Fullwood, who was phenomenal, and some other guys, and then the other backs were big physical backs. But when you lose that, what I'm talking about, that burst in speed, and I said he used to block and go, wait a minute, I'm still having to block. He ain't ran by me yet. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's just like in coverage. You get that in coverage. Like I'm covering a guy, but, man, when you're used to that rush getting home, how you play guys, your eyes, you get a sense for when that ball's got to come out, and a sense of timing that allows you to break on balls and play balls. And then all of a sudden, when you're not getting that rush, man, it feels like you're covering forever. I mean, is DB. So my point is it's critical. I mean, you got to make that ball come out on time, and then because once those receivers start, because after they run their routes, then they're going to start to, as I say, scramble rules and things, and that disorients you, and your eyes and where you go as a DB is very tough. So making that ball come out on time is critical.
And then
Go ahead, Carter.
Alabama's offensive line, I think they've given up 20 sacks this year, and you mentioned Mississippi
Well,
State.
some of those too is it's not all just protection. I mean, they got a couple times, but then Milroe's running and making plays, and what you give up, all right, Milroe may get sacked a couple times when he runs, but he also makes a 60-yard touchdown run. So stats can be misleading in that a little bit in that regard. You know what I'm saying? But we got to get pressure on him, but we have to do it with the integrity of the pocket where he doesn't have holes to get out of. If he gets out the fence, you're down at the other end.
Coach, last thing, I thought you had mentioned about the Arkansas player.
Yes, John Morgan. I mean, and I wanted to say it in the beginning. I apologize. It's great to hear the news that he's back and healthy, and he's back at home. And our thoughts and prayers are with him all Saturday night and all the weekend. That when you see a player go down like that and you worry about that, man, it was huge. And very happy for him and his family and Sam and the Arkansas program that he's healthy. That everything went well with him.
All right,
from
Coach,
that
thanks
game.
for your time.
That's awesome.